poured out on his beloved Son once and for all, so that all of us can now have a relationship with our Heavenly Father. But the thing is, do we really appreciate what has happened? Are we really ready? It's either you're going to die first, or you're going to see the coming of the Lord. I don't know. You know what? We're all going to see it happen, though. I think one thing a lot of people misunderstand about the second coming, though, is we're human and we're on this finite line. This happens, this happens, this happens, and this happens. But remember, in God's realm, there is no time. Everything happens. Everything has already happened. I don't understand that. Has anybody tried to understand that? Think for a moment. No time. There's no chronology. I don't understand that, but I take it because that's who God is. And if we understood it, we'd probably be God, right? But the thing is, he says that because lawlessness increases, most people's love will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end, he will be saved. This gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations. And then the end will come. When I think about that video that we showed this morning of Wing Wong, some of you may know Dr. Mark Chu. If you know Dr. Mark Chu, Richard, he's up at sometimes in the emergency room at Boxview. Well, he actually went to school at Platte Valley Bible College with Wing Wong. How many of you knew that? You ought to go talk to him and ask him about Wing Wong. Wing Wong continued in his ministry. And what I see what he's doing over there in China, and because of one person willing to lay down his life for the cause of the gospel, smuggling Bibles, you know what what the penalty would be for smuggling a Bible in China? That's your life. But he loves the people so much that he's willing to risk his life to spread the gospel. And you see, there's thousands of people that have been affected by his ministry. They say that the Chinese Christians are the fastest growing Christians in the world. Why? Because of persecution. When you're under persecution, you are serious about your faith. Can you imagine? Someone got a gun, is pointing at you, he says, denounce Jesus Christ, so I'm going to shoot you. What you do? Are you going to allow the enemy to scare you to say that, God will forgive me? Or are you ready? Are you ready to stand firm to the very end, no matter what it takes? I think even worse than that, the enemy knows that you can stand firm. So he brings your child and says, I'm going to shoot your child if you don't give up your faith. Are you ready for that? How many of you could actually allow your child to die and stay firm till you believe in who Jesus Christ is? This gospel of the kingdom shall be preached to the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolations which is spoken to Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, let the reader understand. Now, there's a lot of different things people, theologians have tried to figure out this about. What is the abomination of desolation? Well, do we really understand abomination? Abomination is something that God hates. This is detestable. This is the worst thing ever. Stay away from doing this. Yeah, stay away from hitting the mic. Understand that God hates sin, especially these types of sin. And one of the things that the Jewish people, we know that they didn't like pigs. Now, if you were, I guess, sacrificing a pig on the altar in the temple, well, that would be an abomination. That'd be not, not just bad, it's really bad. But what could this abomination of desolations? And I've heard someone say that, well, Jesus talked about, this, it's going to happen within the end of this generation. If you take generation to mean the people living at that time, then the application here would refer to the time of Jerusalem was surrounded by armies sometime in the 1st century. And in fact, we find that the Roman armies did so and destroyed the entire city and the temple in 70 AD. Now, that's history. Okay, that really did happen, right? That doesn't come from the Bible, that comes from history. The Romans were an abomination that made the city desolate. Multiple applications seem to make sense because Antiochus IV and Epiphanes matches so remarkably well to the description in Daniel, yet Jesus' application had to be different because Antiochus was already past. And they were both abominations of desolation. Now is the theory of the Dome of the Rock theory. It's interesting that the Dome of the Rock only exists because the Romans destroyed the temple in 70 AD. So perhaps, in a sense, an application of the abomination of desolation could be made here. Some people believe, you guys know what the Dome of the Rock is, right? It's when the temple was torn down, there was, it was leveled, and the Muslims came in and they built where the temple place was, the Dome of the Rock. Now, I would say that's pretty it's an abomination to the Lord to have His temple replaced by the Islam religion. It's almost like, if you want to look at it, Satan building his castle right on the place where God's Shekinah glory presence dwelt. One thing was really interesting is Anita told me that just a few days ago, Pennsylvania had I guess a legislative session, and there was a lady that prayed for the first installation of the first state senator that was a Muslim. So can you say what she prayed, how she prayed?
Well, she prayed for about 2 minutes, thanking Jesus and praising Jesus and recognizing Him as our Savior. And she asked at the end for forgiveness. And some people were very offended by that, implying that what they were doing was a sin. But she was very clear about what she was saying.
We saw that too, and she also prayed. She declared that every knee would bow and every tongue would confess that Jesus Christ is Lord.
All right, amen.
And of course, that Muslim lady was very offended.
Sure, yeah. But the thing is, I remember a while back, I went to Bayard, and Cecil Todd from Revival Fires, some of you might remember him, preached a sermon, and he talked about the Muslims had an intention. That's their goal, is to destroy America, to take over America. And you see, what we don't understand is, it doesn't matter how long it takes. And one thing that he left us with is that they are ahead of schedule. Because all they have to do is keep on infiltrating our culture, build a few mosques around, start implementing Sharia law. And I don't know if some of you might not know this, but there's actually cities in America that have Sharia law. And you know what, Americans, they're not having kids anymore, maybe 1, 2. They call it zero population growth because we have to control population. But these Muslims are coming in and they're having a lot of kids. Eventually, you know what's going to happen if Jesus doesn't return by then? They're going to outnumber us. And all it'll take is a simple vote, and they'll be in charge. Are you ready? It's coming. The end is coming. I don't know when it's going to be. Jesus proclaimed from when he was on earth that the end is near. But I think, all this other stuff that I'm going to read is a warning that you better be ready anytime. Because the end is going to come. It's going to happen. Like I said, most of us are going to die before it happens. But the thing is, when we die, it's over. There's no more second chances. Are you ready? It says, then those in Judea must flee to the mountains. Whoever is in the house that must go down to get the things out that are in his house. And whoever is in the field must not turn back to get his cloak. But woe to those who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies in those days. But pray that your flight will be not in the winter or in the Sabbath. But pray that your flight will not be in the... For then there will be a great tribulation, such as has not occurred since the beginning of the world until now, nor ever will, unless those days had been cut short. No life would have been saved, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. And then, if anyone says to you, behold, here's the Christ, or there he is, do not believe him. For false Christs and false prophets will rise and will show great signs and wonders so as to mislead, if possible, even the elect. Who's the elect?
Christians.
Christians. Us. They're going to try and deceive us. And I have seen so many Christians that when somebody comes out and he says, well, I'm the Messiah, they go and follow. And I scratch my head, and I remember there was this Presbyterian minister, and he became a Mormon, and I went and talked to him, and I says, you know the truth? Why did you convert to Mormonism? Oh, they have good family nights. You know the truth, you're going to reject the truth because they have family nights? Why don't you go and start your own family night in your church? Why do you want to throw away the truth and exchange it for a lie? Behold, he is in the wilderness, do not go out. Or behold, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe him. For just as the lightning comes from the east and flashes to the west, so will be the Son of Man. So will the coming of the Son of Man be. Wherever the corpse is, there the vultures will gather. But immediately after the tribulations of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. And then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds in the sky with power and great glory, and he will send forth his angels with great trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds and from one end of the sky to the other. Now learn the parable from the fig tree. When its branches has already become tender and puts forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So too, when you see all these things, recognize that he is near, right at the door. Truly I say to you that this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. So these things that he talked about, a lot of these things has already taken place. Did you know that? Huh? How many of you didn't know that? You don't want to embarrass yourself. Some of these things has taken place. But all the things that Jesus has said must happen, must take place, and then he's going to return. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. But the day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven or the Son, but the Father alone. For the coming of the Son of Man will be just like the days of Noah. For as those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark. Now, here, get this, okay? A lot of people think that, when it says drinking and being married, that's evil. No, it's basically saying they're going about their daily business like nothing was going to happen. Business as usual. And what Jesus is saying is that they were not ready. They didn't have any reason to change their ways, even though they were preached to. Instead, they laughed at Noah, right? Then the door closed. They were probably pounding. What's this wet stuff coming from the clouds? Let us in. Too late. The door is shut. They were not ready. And they did not understand until the flood came and took them away. So will the Son of Man be. Then there will be two men in the field, one will be taken, and the other will be, and one will be left. Two women will grind at the mill, and one will be taken, the other left. Therefore, be on the alert, for you do not know which day the Lord is coming. Now, of course, some of you might have seen the Left Behind series, but there's two different sayings or teaching on this. And I didn't know until my brother talked to me about, well, what is Scripture saying right here? Who has been taken and who is left? Because we have a lot of people that say, well, it's going to happen where people are just going to start disappearing. They're going to be driving down the road, they're going to disappear, the car is going to crash into somebody else. But really, take a look at this, okay? It's like the time of Noah. They were taken by surprise. Who was taken by surprise? Who were not ready? The evil people. So really, what I believe that Jesus is saying here is the evil people who are going to be taken away and they're going to be destroyed. In fact, it does say, where it says the vultures, they're going to go where the corpses, the vultures is. That doesn't sound like a good place to me. But whether you believe in disappearing, pre-tribulation, whether this stuff is going to happen, people are going to start disappearing, that Jesus will come, reign for 1,000 years, whatever you believe, that's not an issue. The issue here that Jesus is teaching is, be prepared. Are you ready right now for my return? Because my return might not come. Your death is going to probably come first. Are you prepared? Are you ready? When your baby dies, Jesus has already come back. You get the judgment seat. Are you ready to face the judgment? When God says, why should I let you into the kingdom? What are you going to say? I've done all these good things. And what does Jesus say? Depart from me, you workers of iniquity, for I never knew you. You know how it goes on. I was hungry, you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me nothing to drink. I was naked and you didn't clothe me. I was in prison and you didn't come visit me. And what you didn't do for the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you did not do for me.